Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Unposted podcast. My name is Liz Bezler, and I'm so happy you are here today listening, whether that's in your car, whether that's cooking a meal, whether you're just laying in bed, lounging, working out, whatever it is. I'm so happy you're here, and you're part of the family now. Unposted podcast. Yeah, and we're going to talk about everything that's not posted. And a big thing that is not posted, that is not talked about, is how hard the holidays can be for some people. And I know, growing up and just like following social media, I work in social media now. I see so many influencers and, people online create this beautiful image of the holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving. And the reality is, not everybody's holidays are special. Not everybody's holidays are the best time of the year for them. Actually, for a lot of people, it's the hardest time of the year for them. And I actually saw a girl talk about it on TikTok about how everybody's always talking about how amazing the holidays are and how excited they are for the holidays, but nobody talks about how difficult the holidays can be for people. And I just want to bring some light to people who struggle and maybe don't feel heard and maybe feel alone, because you're not alone. I think a lot of people probably feel this way, but we don't talk about it online. And if you're going through a hard time during the holidays, who's posting about that? Because everything's so positive. It's like, you should be grateful. You're with your family. And the reality is not everybody even has a family. So I just want to kind of talk about it openly. I wrote a whole bunch of notes and I kind of came up with ways that I feel, if you don't have a traditional Christmas like most people or like the people online, that you can find ways to still get through the holidays and it be somewhat enjoyable for you or tolerable. Because I know for a lot of people, it's not always like the best time of the year. And I want to openly acknowledge that and just give you a big hug as, I talk about this today. So if you're somebody that's listening to this and you're like, how can holidays be hard for people? Because in your mind, if you have a family and you get, you don't have any financial problems, maybe you're growing up, you got everything you wanted for Christmas, you have all your family there. Maybe there's some family strains, some relationships that have been broken. Not everybody gets to maybe be together for Christmas. Maybe there's family all over the country, all over the world, and not everybody's like able to come back together. There's just multiple reasons how the holidays can be difficult for people, and it's not always like this beautiful thing. And I kind of want to touch again on like how social media makes everything feel so grand and wonderful, and they're definitely missing a whole audience where it's not all wonderful. Don't get me wrong, I love watching what I got my kid for Christmas. I love watching what I bought myself for Christmas. I love watching all the beautiful decor or going shopping for decor. But in reality, like, I haven't decorated for my apartment because like I'm trying to save money. I'm not trying to go and spend a bunch of money on decorations, even though I would love to do that. Like, I am Christmas to my core. I love Christmas and I love the holidays. It would make me so happy to be able to deck my entire house up for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for the new year, have parties, host everything, like have all the fancy foods and bake every night. Like, that would be my ideal Christmas. But unfortunately, like, me and George, like, we're killing it, like working through the holidays. Like, we don't get to experience that traditional Christmas that a lot of like the influencers that we see online with these beautiful homes and these beautiful decorations. Like, have you gone to the store? Like, decorations are freaking expensive. Like, you'll spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars and barely get anything. It's just like the world these days. Like, everything's just so expensive. And me and George aren't able to celebrate Christmas as perfect as we would like, but we're making the best of it in our situation. We're just trying to get set up in other ways in our life. And like right now, like a decor is not really a part of the budget, but also, we fly home for Christmas and we're not even going to be here. So that even makes it more like, why would we spend money on decorations if we're not even going to be in, at our apartment? So here are some common challenges that people go through during the holidays that I think is not talked about enough. One, you're grieving or missing a loved one. This one really like hits home for me because I lost my cousin to suicide. I think like 9 years ago now. It's 8 or 9 years, like a long time. What's crazy is it feels like yesterday. But I remember the first Christmas without her. It was like 3 months after she passed. And like, she was like the life of the party. Like, nobody matched her energy. She was the person everybody was excited to see. Everybody was most excited to talk to. She was my best friend at our Christmas parties. Like, she was my age. Like, we were like this. Like, it was just like the most magical time of the year, not because of anything else, but because I got to hang out with my cousins. And I remember the feeling of Christmas not feeling whole or complete, that especially that first Christmas after she passed. It was like just a light had been blown out, because she definitely was a light and a positive energy in our family, and to not have that there was really, really sad and really hard. And I could feel the energy from other people because we didn't like talk about it, because it's like hard to talk about. You know, you want to be happy on Christmas Day and be grateful for the family members that are there, and that, you know, all the things that you get to experience that day with each other. Like, extremely grateful to be able to spend it together. But it was a really hard time. It wasn't like a happy, cheery Christmas. Like, everybody's like so excited, you know? Like, we lost somebody that was like very important in our life, that was very close to our family. I don't have a big family. So, you know, holidays can be very difficult if you have lost a loved one in this year in general. Like, this is the hardest time of the year. If you've lost somebody, especially unexpectedly, you know, or through sickness, illness, even like elderly, like, it's just not the same. And holidays can be really, really tough when you lose somebody that's really close to you in your family. For the whole family, it just like sets the dynamic completely on its head. Like, it's just not the same. So my heart goes out to people who have lost somebody this year that is important and close to them. But hopefully you heal over the next several years and your holidays can start to look a little bit more normal. But yeah, I understand that that is a big reason why holidays can be difficult for people. Another reason is like loneliness, for those without a close family nearby. You know, for me and George, like, yes, we're very like fortunate enough to get to travel across the country. We get to go to my hometown and his hometown. Luckily, we have the money to be able to book the flights and the stays. And, you know, in my hometown, we have to book a hotel, and like, traveling is like super expensive. We're very grateful to be able to spend those days with our family. But even leading up to the holidays, it's not the same. Like, I don't get to see my family and my sisters and hang out with them, like, and watch Christmas movies. Like, we only really get like Christmas Eve and Christmas and then the day after. Like, it's not this buildup of the holidays. And, you know, there's been a lot of times like I'll cry literally, like, and be like, oh, I miss my family so much, because the holidays just like are so important to me and mean so much to me. And it's just never been the same after I left home when I was 18. Like, holidays can feel really sad, and sometimes, you know, I do feel lonely, and I don't have a lot of friends in Los Angeles. You know, I have my sister here, but other than my sister, like, I don't have like a ton of like super close friends, or like everybody's schedules are always all over the place. So Christmas just isn't the same. The holidays aren't the same in LA. So I can feel for people who aren't able to spend like the whole holiday season with the family. It can be really lonely. And I'm somebody who has a family and gets to see my family for the holidays, which I'm very fortunate for. But I know there's so many people who, one, don't have a family, can't see their family for whatever reason. That feeling of loneliness, especially when you're scrolling online and seeing like so many people joyful and happy together, can be really hurtful. And if that's you, like, I would take time away from like the internet, because it can be really tough, like seeing everybody with their families and like with their friends, or having the time of their life, even if they're not, you know, it looks that way on social media. It can be super, super difficult. That loneliness is like a really sad feeling. And I've felt that way many times in my life. So my heart definitely goes out to you all if you're feeling loneliness. Another reason why people hate the holidays is like financial stress. Holidays, there's so many expectations, I feel like, especially if you have kids and your kids go to school and they compare their gifts with their friends and all this stuff. It's like, oh, so and so got this gift, but I only got this gift. Like, I remember like growing up, like my family made Christmas as special as they could. Like, shout out to my mom. They literally made Christmas so magical for me. And it wasn't even about like the items we got. Like, there were many times growing up, my parents weren't able to afford like extravagant gifts. Like, I got things that I really liked, but by all means, like, I never got like a computer for Christmas. You know what I mean? Or like a giant gift that was like crazy. Like, I asked for Uggs for all 4 years of high school and got like bear claws one year. So like they did the best they could and they made it very special for me. I don't look back on my childhood and think I was like gypped off or anything, but I definitely remember like seeing my friends like post their stuff on social media, like, thanks for all the Christmas gifts. And it was like all their gifts like in a photo, and I'm like, it's like Lululemon and like new Nikes and like the North Face jacket and like an iPad and like AirPods, like all of the things. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, good for them. But like, my parents just couldn't afford that at the time. And that's okay. I'm totally happy with how I grew up and that they were able to provide a Christmas for me at all. But I know financial stress is such a big thing for Christmas, especially whenever there's comparison involved. And that's why I'm like, stop comparing. Like, Christmas is so beyond gifts. Like, it's Jesus's birthday and that should be the focus. And if you don't believe in God, that's fine. But even if you don't believe in God, like, gifts are still not the focus of Christmas. The focus of Christmas is like being grateful for what you have and being grateful that you have loved ones surrounded by you. And especially if you have that, like, gifts are not even relevant. Like, who cares? But I know how much stress that the financial burden of Christmas can feel like, because you want to make sure your kids are having the best Christmas of their life and being able to go back to school and, not feel excluded from the group, or like not as loved, because kids don't really understand the concept of money. So I understand. And there, there's a lot of other expenses that go into Christmas, the decorating, like I was talking about before, the food, you got to buy meals for everybody's coming over. Like, there's a lot of things that go into it. If you're traveling, like me and George, we're spending thousands of dollars to travel. So I understand, like, especially if you're struggling financially, like really hardcore, it cannot be a fun time because you feel like you have these obligations, but remember that you don't have to live up to those obligations like that other people are putting online. Like, you can create your own Christmas and the holidays, and they can be what it means to you. Like, it doesn't have to match everybody else's. And obviously, last but not least, like any family conflicts, relationship problems, like the worst thing is walking into a room with people that you aren't seeing eye to eye on. Maybe, you don't like somebody. Maybe a new somebody has come into the family and you guys don't get along. Maybe your parents aren't getting along. Maybe your parents just got a divorce. Like, maybe you just broke up with your boyfriend. And, you just like, there's so many things that could happen to make the holidays dreadful. And that uncomfortable feeling of like, you feel like you have to be around family for the holidays, but like, you aren't having like a good relationship with them right now, can make the holidays suck. It's like, imagine, like, I couldn't imagine if I got into a big fight with my sisters over something and like we were pissed at each other for a long time and having to go and like, like pretend like we're friends at Christmas. Like, that would be annoying. Luckily me and my sisters are like this, but like, I see where, broken families have a hard time around the holidays, because it honestly like could create more brokenness, or it just feels really sad because like your family is supposed to be this like close knit thing. And for some people it's not, and that's like the reality of it is families. Like, I believe like, you're given your God-given family, but you also get to create a family outside of your family. And those can be anybody. Like, those people can be anybody, like your friends, like your workout buddies, your church community, whatever that looks like for you. Like, family can look different. So my advice for you, like, if you have a family that is, maybe doesn't make you feel as good, like, find a family that does make you feel good around the holidays. So yeah, those are just several ways, why people struggle with the holidays, and I don't feel like they're talked about enough. Remember, like, it's okay to feel the way you feel. Like, there's nothing wrong with your situation, and we all have our roller coasters, whether we're like plastering it online or not. Like, we're not posting about our family's drama online. Like, I'm not. That's for sure. But like, I know we all go through it. And like, you know, I was talking about how I lost my cousin. Like, that's like real. Like, am I going to post that online? Yeah, this Christmas sucked because my cousin wasn't there. Like, no, I'm not, you know? So just remember, like, have grace for one another. And if you're following people online that make you feel a certain way, then block them or mute them. I don't know, like, especially during the holidays, like, you can mute them for December and unmute them in January, you know? I have some tips for you guys for how to get through the holidays if you are dealing with one of the above that I mentioned before. Setting boundaries, you know, give yourself permission to say no to events or traditions that feel overwhelming. If you feel overwhelmed, don't go. If it's going to make you feel, you know, unhappy and overwhelmed and like stressed and like you're not going to have a good time, then don't go. You don't have to show up anywhere. This is your life. And if it makes you feel overwhelmed and sad, like, you definitely shouldn't go, because it's definitely not what the holiday is about. And you can also create new traditions that feel meaningful to you. Like, grab a friend, grab your boyfriend, your spouse, whatever. Like, you get to create holiday traditions, and they don't have to be like everybody else's. Like, you get to pick what those traditions are. Maybe it's baking something. Maybe it's like going to a play, or maybe it's like going to look at Christmas lights, or whatever that is. And it doesn't even have to be Christmassy. Like, you literally get to make your own traditions. Traditions are just something that you do repetitively over the years that are special to you. And I think that's why I'm so excited, like, to like get married and have kids, is like, I get to make my own traditions, you know, like me and George and our future kids, like, we get to create what Christmas looks like to us, and it doesn't have to look like anybody else's. Number 2, practice self-care. Of course, this is like, you know, I feel like there's so much going on during the holidays that sometimes we forget, like, we have to prioritize ourselves, and it's okay to take days away from like the Christmas vibes. You know, you can have a spa day, you can have like time to like journal, read a book, take a walk, relax, chill with nobody around. I feel like holidays are like very like social. It doesn't always have to be social. If you need to take a day to like, or a week, I don't care, like, take the whole month and lay on the couch and chill. If that's what you need to do, then do it, because it doesn't always have to look like, I'm going to this party and I'm going to this event. Like, I haven't been to one Christmas event. I've been watching TikToks on all these people going to all these holiday parties. Literally, I was in the ER on Thanksgiving with a stomach flu. Yeah, that was my Thanksgiving. So like, my holidays have definitely not looked like anybody else's on TikTok. Number 3 is connect in your own way. You know, reach out to friends, community, neighbors. Like, again, like, your family is not just your family that you were born with. Like, your family can also be friends and people that you feel safe and comfortable around. So you can spend them with either. Like, spending time over the holidays should just be with people that you love and you care about, and it shouldn't matter who they are in like relation to you, like whether they're your parents or not. Like, if you find somebody in your life, maybe you don't have family that you like get along with, but you find a family that's a friend, that makes you feel more loved and safe, then spend the holidays with them. Like, do what's best for you. The next one I have for you is focus on what you can control. You know, I always find simplifying plans has helped for me. Sometimes I like to think like very extravagantly and like detail list of everything, and I'm like, bro, this is making me so stressed out. The second I like remove things that like, okay, we can do without this, like, let's just get the baseline and then go from there. Those like realistic expectations, like not having unrealistic expectations, because social media can do that. Like, they can put so much unrealistic expectations on you for the holidays that it's like I've seen all these crazy Elf on the Shelf photos of like moms and parents doing like the most insane Elf on the Shelf. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be able to live up to that when I have kids. Like, I don't even have kids, and I'm already stressed for when I have kids for Elf on the Shelf. Like, what is happening? Like, these people, there was one I saw yesterday of like an elf in a cabinet with Fruit Loops, and it was like a statue of like the Fruit Loops falling out, like floating in the air. I'm always like, how are these people doing this? Like, that stresses me out. I'm like, it doesn't have to be that. You can literally set it in a chair, okay, and then move it to the plant the next day, and that's still going to be magical for your kid. It's just like crazy how extra the internet is, and then you feel like And it's just gotten more extra over time. Like the internet has gotten so extra and extravagant. Everybody's trying to do the most all the time. Like it doesn't have to be the most. Like some of my favorite memories as a child were the most simple memories. Like we would watch Miracle on 34th Street every single year for Christmas Eve. And thinking back, like that is a very significant memory for me growing up. And it was like the most simple thing ever. Like no thought put into it besides we're going to watch a movie and press play. Like that was special to me. So don't let this social media and these big influencers and people who have a lot of money to be able to create these experiences, we don't even know if they're making them. Like they maybe have hired people to come and, you know, do all this crazy, like all these fancy dinners and plate everything nicely. Like we don't actually know what is going on. Like half the time it's not even them doing the job. So relax. Don't feel like you have to put these expectations on yourself. And the second it starts feeling overwhelming is the second you need to start cutting. Like cut out the things that are unrealistic and only do the things that feel good for you. And next, of course, mind your mental and your physical health. Stick to routines, of course, like everything, like you still have to prioritize yourself. And we kind of talked about that a bit before, like still work out, still do the things that make you happy and handle what you got to handle to make you feel your best. And if that means distracting yourself, then that means distracting yourself. Just do what you can and just have so much grace and patience for yourself. Another thing that I really like is, you know, again, like you can celebrate in your own way. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. You know, people make like certain dishes for Christmas Eve. Like you can make whatever the heck you want. If you want to order pizza on Christmas Eve because that's what you want to do, then freaking order pizza. Like it doesn't have to look like everybody else's. Oh, you know, you don't want to do matching pajamas this year. Don't do matching pajamas. Who cares? What is it going to do? Like, what's going to happen if you don't match pajamas with your whole family on Christmas Eve, you know, and everybody else online is? Like, what is it going to do if you do something different? So, celebrate in your own way. Celebrate by doing things that are actually meaningful to you. And again, you can come up with your new traditions. So yeah, that's today's episode. You know, I've always lived my life a little bit in comparison, and I know the holidays like can be so stressful, especially for moms. I feel like moms out there, like with the expectations of like TikTok and like online, like people creating these overly magical experiences, which great. If you do that, that's amazing. I'm not like bashing that. I'm just saying like for the moms that maybe can't do that for their kid this year, don't feel bad. Like be a loving parent, do what you can, and your kid's going to love you regardless. Try to block out all the expectations online. I know it's hard. Like I get caught up in it so much, like where I'm like, oh my goodness, like there's just so many standards I have to meet. But you get to create it. And if you've lost a loved one this year, my hugs go out to you. Do whatever you need to do. It's okay for your Christmas to be emotional. Like it's okay to cry and it's okay to show feelings and it's okay to talk about it. I feel like a lot of times, like when you lose a loved one, like for me, it was like nobody talk about it because like it's an elephant in the room. You can talk about it because their presence and like their celebration of life is important. And sometimes you have to do that. And sometimes, you know, Christmas, it doesn't have to be all, we're all faking happy. Like you can have real emotion and really acknowledge things if you have to, and if that's what you feel like you need to do. And if you're lonely, just know I'm here for you, and I hope you can find, you know, a friend or at least somebody to spend Christmas with, spend the holidays with. And even if you don't want to do that, that's fine too. If you want to spend Christmas by yourself, you know, then that's amazing. If that's what you want to do, like you don't have to be with anybody. And stop comparing everything online. You know, sometimes I'm like, I have no friends, like nobody's inviting me to Christmas parties, blah, 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 blah. It's okay. You know, I have like my core family and core people that I know love me, and that's all that matters. And again, with the financial stresses, like don't compare yourself. Everybody online is like, they have their platform, but like that is like 1% of the United States. Like not everybody has all this crazy money to spend. Most people don't. Times are hard right now. So be gentle on yourself. If you have to explain this to your kids or your family, like they'll understand. And honestly, you don't owe an explanation because again, Christmas is not about how many gifts you get or like how fancy of a dinner you set for your family. Like just be a good person, be there for your family. And, you know, there's a lot of really fun things you can do over the holidays that cost zero money. So me and my family love game night, and it costs nothing. And those are always the best times. So anyways, guys, I love you so much. I hope you have a very happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And yeah, sending you all so much love. And if this, you know, season is hard for you, just know that you're going to get through it and it's going to be okay. And if you have to take a break from social media, then do it. But anyway, love you guys. And I will catch you guys next Tuesday on Unposted Podcast. Bye.